Rebut this. Video games are the greatest form of storytelling there is. Your rebuttal probably is listing books, film, TV, music, poems, plays, dance, theater, and more. However, there is something special about video games. Something very special. Video games have what the others have, but they have something in a degree that others do not. Interaction. Video games can rival the visual beauty of film and TV. Video games can have music which pleases the ear.
If I ever were to lose you,
I'd surely lose myself.
Video games can have it all, with its prized possession being the interactivity between audience and medium. Video games are varied, as some of you may think of games like COD, or Pac-Man, or Minecraft. I will not argue that COD is literary brilliance. However, there are games that deserve places in literary history. I am a gamer, not to the point that I haven't seen the sun or touched grass, but I have put enough hours in to the point that I question whether it was all worth it. To me, there are two major types of games: competitive multiplayer ones and story-based single-player ones. Both have their places in my heart. However, as I kept playing games, I have put more time into the story-based single-player ones. Games like The Witcher 3, The Last of Us, and Red Dead Redemption 2 have shown me the prolific storytelling a video game can deliver in their own ways. The Witcher 3 demonstrates the unrivaled freedom a game can give to its player. Your choices matter. The Last of Us is linear with no open world, however triumphs in its cinematic presentation. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a perfect representation of the potential of video games. Rockstar delivered a story that captivates you, set in an unforgettable world where you play the outlaw, Arthur Morgan. This is where video games separate themselves from traditional media. RPG, role-playing game, is the phrase that captures this best. You are not told a story, you are in the story. When I go to see a movie, I sit down for a few hours and stare at a screen. When I go read a book, I sit down and read about someone else. When I go to play video games, I am the main character, a feeling that video games deliver in an unmatched manner. What is literature? When you Google it, this is the result. Literature. Written works, especially those considered of superior or lasting artistic merit. At a glance, video games are out of place. However, to me, they are literature. Less so because of the written aspect of its story, but more so because of its lasting artistic merit. Written works. Video games satisfy this. Not only is there dialogue in both cutscenes and encounters, but there is written word throughout the game world. You see this in The Witcher 3's books, The Last of Us's collectibles, and Red Dead's newspapers. The artistic merit of video games. This is about value. To me, the value in art is how the art made me feel. And video games certainly evoke feelings that surpass fun or satisfaction. In a video game like Red Dead Redemption 2, you make choices which affect the story that unfolds, such as at the end of the mission, The Fine Art of Conversation, where Arthur and Charles bid Captain Monroe farewell at a train station. There are 3 outcomes based on your honor and previous missions. High honor with Sister Calderon, high honor with Reverend Swanson, low honor with Reverend Swanson. All 3 scenes share a common concern of identity, albeit in different ways. In all of them, Arthur shows self-awareness of his murky moral history. With Sister, Arthur says,
I've lived a bad life, sister.
the emphasis on bad illustrates how Arthur sees himself as an immoral man. A similar sentiment is seen with Swanson when low honor Arthur states,
I ain't changed. I'm still a bad man.
the high honor scene with Swanson does not have Arthur describing himself as bad, but instead has him saying,
I don't know about
in
that.
response to Swanson saying,
But you'll do what's right.
all 3 scenes establish Arthur as a man conflicted with who he is and has been. However, despite Arthur's assessment of his character, both Sister and Swanson comfort Arthur. Sister opens with,
We've all lived bad lives, Mr. Morgan. We all sin. But I know you.
this piece of dialogue encapsulates Arthur. He is an outlaw who has robbed and killed, yet he can still return a horse to a coach driver, help a widow survive in the woods, resolve the debt of vulnerable people, help a family reunite, and return a doctor's wagon. Sister questions Arthur's self-deprecation. Sister later tells Arthur,
You don't know you.
which suggests that Arthur does not see who he truly is. This concern of identity runs throughout the scenes. In Sister's scene, Arthur asks,
What am I gonna do now?
in which Sister suggests helping others. This contrasts the way Arthur avoids asking Swanson for advice in the low honor scene. Instead, he adamantly agrees with Swanson when he says that he is a warrior. Arthur sadly echoes,
That's all I am. A fighter. A killer. And crazy man.
In this scene, Swanson embraces Arthur's past self and assures Arthur by saying,
And you'll do everything that you have to do just fine.
on the other hand, in the high honor version, Swanson injects morality into the scene by asserting Arthur will do.
Do what's right.
This contrasts the low honor scene by implying Arthur has shown how he's a good man with values that are admirable. Although the low honor scene seemingly lacks hope for Arthur, it still exudes the sentiment that Arthur can change into the man he always was. Although Sister and Swanson seem to be giving different advice, they are both telling Arthur to be who he is. This is signified when Sister and Swanson state, I know
I
you.
know
you.
However, Swanson and Sister know Arthur differently. Sister knows Arthur for helping others, while Swanson knows Arthur as a fighter. This is what shapes their dialogue. The scenes look at the same problem from different sides. Arthur is conflicted within himself. This uncertainty is demonstrated in all scenes. He expresses fear to Sister when he says,
I'm afraid.
while to high honor Swanson, he states,
I'm worried my path is coming to an end, Mr. Swanson.
in contrast to low honor Swanson, he simply says,
We'll see.
in the first two, Arthur shows vulnerability while the last response is stoic. Such difference represents how Arthur is both weak and strong. The gunslinging backbone of the Vanderlind gang holds a shattered soul. Arthur is a killer, but he also is a loving man. He's bad, yet he is good,
Life is full of pain. But there is also love and beauty.
is how Red Dead Redemption 2 felt. What I just did is why video games should be studied in schools as literature. Often you would study books, poems, plays, and movies. However, I have never heard of games being on the syllabus. There is something about video games that other forms cannot deliver. Video games tell stories unlike any other medium and should be recognized as such. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, it would be much appreciated if you could like and subscribe. Also, let me know in the comments how you feel about video games. Bye.